Hi, good evening, everyone. So, today we are here to talk about reading comprehension. And as you've already seen, that the session today is about RCs. Session today is about how do we do well at RCs. So, the agenda for this workshop, first, I would like to tell you all is that reading comprehension has become a very important part of CET, along with other question types like grammar and vocab. So, what has been observed for the past few years, and in fact, a few slots of the previous CET sessions, has been that while they do test you on vocab and grammar, a lot of times they try to do it through reading comprehension. And reading comprehension is one such tool where you can test the test taker on multiple things, not just understanding of the passage and getting the questions right. So this is a very effective tool when it comes to checking your interpretation of ideas. It is a very important tool when it comes to understanding your skills, as far as understanding how well do you interpret the ideas, how well do you read between the lines. And in order to be able to do so, it is also very important that you are good with vocab and grammar, because ultimately your understanding of a passage depends on how well you understand the grammatical construction of the sentence. How less do you get stuck with, how few number of times do you get stuck with words that might be new for you, but if you can make a contextual sense of what the author has written. Because I remember the last time a lot of slots, quite a few of them actually, had questions essentially on vocab, like hardcore direct vocab questions through RCs. All right. And the number of reading comprehension questions, let me tell you, were around 21 out of 50. Sometimes the number would also go to 17 and 25. So it's very dynamic. Nobody can tell you for sure what the number is going to be like, but it is definitely up to 15 and sometimes even more. Okay, 15 questions definitely you might come across if we look at the past few years' trends. And keeping this in mind, we thought that it was imperative that we prepare you for reading comprehension, because this is one important area which is both time consuming, at the same time requires a lot of getting out of your comfort zone and making sense of topics that you will be tested on, right? So what the session is going to look like, I will just take you through it. Before that, some instructions that I would like to give. Please keep your microphones switched off, keep your cameras switched off. If you have any doubts, okay, you can unmute yourselves and ask your doubts. You can also put your queries in the chat box and ask. I would prefer the chat box option, because that will also give me some time to reply to your queries, and it will also be less chaotic. Because if too many people start talking at the same time, making sense of what is being said and the essence gets lost in it. So I would request that you all put it in the chat box. But of course, if it is very important, then we can take it through unmuting your mics also. Yes, we will go through the theory first, and if you have any doubts, you can please post your questions. But I would suggest that you, while listening to it, just wait for the explanation to get over, and then you can put your doubts, because a lot of times a lot of doubts get clarified just on the basis of what we have heard and what we have been listening to. Okay, that's one. Once the theory is done, because it's going to be a recall of whatever you must have done in your classes so far, in all your classroom sessions, where you must have done your basics of reading comprehension, and I'm sure you must have solved a lot of passages also. So this is not something that is going to be new. The agenda and the aim, rather, I would tell you, the objective is to take you through certainly a little higher level of difficulty. Yes, that is the aim, so that you're not caught unawares when you're actually solving these questions, or you come across any in the exam. We will also see, I have tried to club passages that have variations of questions on the basis of what we are going to see in the basics today. So we will also look at how would you approach what question as a test taker? How would we look at saving our time to whatever extent possible, because as we all know, CET is more a speed based test than anything else. So we're going to look at that. So we will try to apply whatever we have done in the theory through the handout. So there is also a link of the handout that I would be sharing with you all, where I have created a link for the PDF that I've put it on the PPT. Reason being, it becomes easier to do RCs through PDF. So when we are solving the handout, you can please refer to that, while of course I will be displaying the handout on the PPT also. But I personally feel that it is very difficult to keep going to and fro when we are doing RCs through PPT, so that becomes quite tedious, and that's also a lot of that takes a lot of my time and energy. So I would prefer the PDF way, which is why I've created the link. The access has been given to all, anyone and everyone with the link, so please use that link, solve it. Once you're done with solving a particular passage that we are going to look at solving eventually or discussing the answers, please put it on the chat that you've finished solving, and then after a couple of minutes, once we gauge that everyone has finished solving, we will start discussing the answers also of that. All right. Towards the end of the class, if there are any passages that are left to be solved, depending on what the speed is like, because the agenda is not to rush through the passages, but to, while we are solving, also making sense of what we are solving and what is the approach going to be like. So in case there are any passages left, the answer keys shall be shared with you. So you can take a screenshot of that, and you can at your own convenience, I would not say pace, because the pace needs to be really quick, at your own convenience, solve those questions and reach out to us faculty members, time doubts ID, or wherever that you're placed, you can reach out to your faculty members, needless to say. All right, so can we shall we begin with the session? Is there any doubt so far on the basis of whatever we have discussed till now? Is there anything you want to ask? Is there anything? Shreya, I would not know that, sweetheart, because is there any group? I have no idea. Okay, I will not be able to tell you that. I think you can get in touch with your center, and they will probably help you you know, with this query. Okay, so I think I will be more in a position to answer queries that are with regards to academics. All right. Okay, thank you so much. So we will start with it. As you can see, I have shared my screen, and we will very quickly see what are the things we're going to discuss. So when we talk about it, we are going to talk about the RC basics. As I've already mentioned, quite a few of it you must have already done. So just in case you think you need to do some selective listening, okay, feel free to do that. Just ensure that while solving the handout, it is not there's no concept that you are not aware of. Okay, right. So what are the things that we are going to discuss? We are first going to talk about what do we mean by the subject of the passage. We're going to talk about what do we understand by central idea. We're going to talk about the style of writing, and we're going to talk about the tone of the passage. Okay. Now, when I say RC, when I say reading comprehension, please understand one thing. Whatever are the questions, whatever, okay, they are all going to be testing you on these four parameters essentially. Now, the way they are going to ask you these questions might be different, and they might have different wordings, but what fundamentally gets tested are these four things. And whenever you are talking about doing reading comprehension and being able to understand, a lot of times we feel that okay, I understood the passage, but when it came to answering the questions, I was absolutely clueless. Now, why does that happen? That happens because to my mind, I have understood the passage, okay, but when the time comes to answer these four elements of a reading comprehension passage, I am absolutely clueless, right? So how do I understand that I've understood a passage? That is understanding of these four ideas. Now, before we get into answering these questions, I would like to know your views on it, because it's a workshop handout. My understanding is you must have done some kind of revisiting the concepts. So if you could please tell me, what do you understand by subject, central idea, and all of that, one by one? Okay, let's get at this. What do you mean by the subject? What do you mean by the central idea? Not essentially looking at the difference between the two, just understanding from you what do you mean by these two. Yes.
It's about trying to get the crux of the passage,
This would be Aksha's central idea or the subject.
the central idea.
Okay, all right. And what would the subject be? And this
No,
is to
ma'am.
all. This is to all, not just Aksha. This is to all. Central idea would be to get the crux of the passage. Okay, all right.
Subject, maybe the topic or the theme about which the author is talking, the specific topic. Maybe it's an event, a war, or about if it's philosophy and they have specifically chosen a particular topic in that.
Okay, so quite a few of you all are also saying subject would be basically the specific topic. Central idea would rather be the things we talk about in the subject. Okay. Right. So yes, a central idea essentially is the theme. Central idea essentially is the topic. Subject is something that is on a broader spectrum. If anyone could give me examples, I mean, it would be really great if you could, give me examples related to it. Miss, subject is the topic, central idea is the topic, it revolves around. Pulkit, I'm not sure I understand this beta, but okay. Can you give me examples that will probably help me understand the idea better? What is your understanding of it? Like Aksha said, that subject could be war, you know, so something like that. Anyone? Just think now.
Ma'am, for example,
Hanji.
if the subject is war, the central idea might be something completely different. Not completely, but for example, if the topic is war, then the central idea might actually be the way war affects people.
Okay.
But the topic of the passage or the subject of the passage will be war, and it could include many things that it's revolving around, that it's talking about. That could be the central idea.
Okay. All right. All right. Pulkit, there is no link for the PPT. There is a link for the handout that I will share later. Okay. PPT, there is no link. Please feel free to take screenshots whenever and wherever you deem fit. All right. Okay. All right. I really appreciate the kind of answers that I've got, because that looks like you have some idea about it. Uh, so if I say war, okay, and if I'm talking about some particular war that the author is mentioning to, let's say author is talking about the world war, the author is talking about cold war, author is talking about World War One, or somebody has spoken of a whole story on Israel. All right. So depending on when I am saying a whole story on Israel, how am I trying to design my passage? Or when I'm talking about war, how is that I'm trying to design my passage? That will define my subject. Okay. So if I say war, let's say, right, my subject would be history, and then my central idea would be what in history is that I am wanting to talk about. Okay. If I say talk about business, then it would be, let's say, to talk about the way Zara operates. Say for example, okay, so I will want to talk about, say, supply chain management when it comes to or logistics when it comes to Zara, or when I say the Zara's mode of operation. All right, just giving you some examples to help you understand it better. If I were to talk about, say, science and technology, then probably we would want to talk about the invention of, say, nuts and bolts, and how did it come into being, and what are the uses of it, and what are the author's view on it. So when I say subject, I am talking about something that is on a broader spectrum. But when I say central idea, I'm talking about something that has got to do with understanding the main idea or the theme that the passage would revolve around. Okay. So say if I talk about economics as the subject, then I would want to talk about say something that has got to do with inflation as the central idea. All right, so that becomes the theme or the topic that the author would want to talk about as far as economics is concerned. I'm giving you some broad examples so that the understanding between the two is clear. Any questions? Have you understood the difference between subject and central idea? So whenever I say central idea, that has got more to do with understanding the theme of the topic, or the topic, or the main idea. So let's say something like, what could be a suitable title to the topic? Okay, that could be something that would be testing me on understanding both subject and central idea, depending on what the subject is and what is the theme that the author is essentially talking about in the passage. Okay, next is to talk about style of writing. Now, what how would you like, somebody very nicely mentioned, in layman terms, this is what it is. So how would you, once again, in layman terms, maybe, because I'm not looking at any technical definition here, what do you essentially mean by style of writing? Or if you were to explain style of writing to someone, what would you say it is?
Ma'am, style of writing depends on the kind of words that a person chooses to use. For
Okay.
example, very basic example, but if Shashi Tharoor is writing a passage versus any one of us is writing a passage, the style is going to be very different. The kind of words are going to be very different. So, for example, simplistic language and complicated language may be one style of writing.
Okay, so you've given me the examples of it. So how would you say what style of writing is? Correct. The presentation of expressing the ideas. Correct. Style of writing is how the author chooses to present the central idea to the reader. Okay. How is that the author is trying to help the reader understand the flow of the thought, flow of the passage, or organization of ideas in the passage? Guys, just a minute, just a minute. Just Yes, style essentially is a way of writing of the author, Ashish. That is exactly what it is. All right. And what is tone? What do you think would the definition of tone be?
It can be persuasive or negative or positive or dismissive.
Yes, these are the types of tones, correct. What do you mean by tones? Okay, Rishabh says how the uh, passage sounds. Very good, Gayatri. The emotion of the passage, absolutely right. That's exactly what it is. Uh, it has got to do with understanding the attitude that the author carries towards the passage. Okay, so now keeping these in mind, let's look at how do we define style. And I think by now we've got this, because that is how we have expressed it, we have explained it. Okay, absolutely right, Dave. Yes, the style of writing is the author's presentation of the information to the reader. And we will do a very quick, small exercise so that we understand what styles of writing essentially are. Okay, and then probably we can get at understanding tones also. It's just for your understanding. So let's say if I have an essay on visit to Ooty, okay, what would you say it is? Subject or central idea? What is this of the passage? Very good, Ashish. Very good. Okay, it is the subject.
Central point.
It would be the subject, Aksha. It would be the subject, because look at this. What would these be?
Ma'am, wouldn't travel be the subject then?
Sorry,
If we say visit to Uti, it's a particular place. So wouldn't travel be the subject?
travel as such would not be the subject. Now, if I am saying essay on visit to Ooty, here if I want to classify here in this particular idea, then it would be the, I mean, then that particular essay, what is that I'm writing? I'm writing essay on something, essay about my travel.
Okay. Okay,
Okay,
okay, got it, got
and
it.
then in this particular, otherwise, yes, broadly travel could be the subject. Yes, yes,
Hmm.
it could be, right. And then when I say author's experience, places,
Hmm.
people, culture, information, comparison, things like this would contribute to the central idea, because I might want to write about them, I might want to write about uh, yes, Harshi, subject could be your experience, so author's experience. Now subject will not be your experience, Harshi. Your experience could be the central idea, because you are making your passage revolve around what was your experience as a traveler to that place. Okay, so you might want to talk about your experience, or you might want to be more descriptive about what the place was like. Okay, or you might want to talk about what information would you want to give to the reader or the listener for that matter, in the sense of how would you want to plan your travel, uh, what are the places you think you should include, which are the ones you could miss, things like that. Are you with me on this? Is this understandable? Yeah. Okay, all right, great. So next would be to talk about the styles of writing of each of these, which I would want you to help me with what the styles of writing for each of these could be, and then probably we can get at understanding these better. So tell me, author's experience generally will have or carry what style of writing? If I am saying I am writing something that is experiential, what the style of writing is usually?
Ma'am, descriptive.
Descriptive. Okay, all right. So what about place, people, culture?
Ma'am, that could be a blend of descriptive as well as opinion, because it's your opinion about the place and the people.
Or
Okay.
it can also be informative, information about the place, culture.
So information will have that informative style of writing now. While I am, yes, giving description, see, okay, we read newspapers, all of us, we do that. Okay, so when I read newspaper, a news piece would generally have a lot of dash
Facts.
facts, correct? So then what the style of writing is?
Informative.
Informative, correct. They facts will not have opinions na. Facts and opinions are two different things, beta. ठीक है? Yeah, facts and opinions are alag. ठीक है? So if I say, now tell me, author's experience. Okay, someone says narrative. Okay, Gauri says narrative. Why, Gauri? Why do you say it could be narrative? Not should be, could be.
Ma'am, I think it'll be narrative. I'm sorry.
Right.
You don't
Why?
want information, right?
It would be narrative because
Ma'am, I was saying narrative about the author's experience.
I understood that. Why would you say it is narrative? That's my question. Okay, they've got it.
I would say it's narrative because when someone's talking about their experience, it can obviously be descriptive because they are describing each aspect of their experience. But it will also be narrative as when you follow a sequence of events, like you are properly narrating a story or a experience for that matter. That's why I think it'll be narrative.
Correct. So I am also, please understand, I'm going to use a lot of I first person usage, my opinion, my this, my that. So I am talking about what my experience has been. When I say what my experience has been, it will have a lot of first person usage. Okay, which also helps me understand that it's just going to be largely narrative. Okay. So here it is going to be narrative. And if you say source of writing, generally autobiographies are the ones that will give you a good, uh, you know, good understanding of what a narrative style of writing could be. Okay. Place, people, culture. Quite a few of you have also mentioned this. It would be descriptive, yes, and biographies would be a source which can help you identify what a descriptive style of writing is, or what kind of, I mean, also if we've read Agatha Christie books, we will know what descriptive kind of writing is, because she's all her books are very elaborate when it comes to introducing the plot to the reader. Very very elaborately done, very descriptive in nature. Okay. Then of course informative, we have spoken of this also. We have spoken of the news pieces that we've read, which have a very informative style of writing, where it is more to do with understanding the facts, understanding the information by the writer. And most of the data, all of the data essentially is verifiable, right? So uh, that becomes an informative or a factual style of writing. What about the last one? What do you think would the style of writing for that would be? Comparison, what do you think would the style of writing be? Very good, Rishabh, that's a very good answer. And why do you think that would be? uh it is not a style of writing. There's a different style of writing to it. Comparing between one and more. Okay, so when we say comparing between one and more, the style of writing becomes analytical. Okay, that's very nicely put. Comparing between one and more is analytical, where uh, more than comparing between one and more, it is like stating the central idea, and then the author goes on to describe the, or talk about the good and the bad, both about it, and then give an opinion of their own. However, there could be one more style of writing where it could be argumentative, where if you read a lot of editorials, you will know what do we mean by that argumentative style of writing, where you will find that the author not only is giving their opinion, but also mentioning facts as to why they opine what they do. All right. So analytical on the one hand is going to make a comparison. Argumentative will right away mention what the opinion is, and there will be data mentioning why they opine so. Okay, so analytical would be more like a magazine, whereas argumentative would be editorials. And this essentially is called as the style of writing, or is understood as a style of writing, where we understand how is the idea presented to the reader. Okay, how has the author chosen to design the paragraphs? Say for example, I have a paragraph that is sorry, I have a passage that is 4 paragraphs long. So the first para contains the main idea. The second para, third para give examples, act as supporting ideas to understand the main idea better. And the last paragraph is a conclusion. Okay, so that essentially becomes the uh, understanding the flow of the passage, right? So when I talk about questions that will test me on style of writing, they'll either ask me what the style of writing is directly, or they will probably ask me or test me on understanding the way the paragraphs are organized and the thoughts flow in the paragraphs, to understand what the style of writing essentially is. So questions that are in these way para based. Okay. uh, Well, information, Rishabh, will be in both cases, argumentative and analysis also. Okay, information will be in both cases. One would be in comparison, other would be just on the basis of what they opine. I hope I have made myself clear with the difference between the two. Do you have any questions, anyone? Shivangi, you have something to say? Okay, all right. So let's move on to the next concept, that is understanding tones. Okay, so tones, as we've already seen, is author's attitude towards the central idea. Okay, quite a few of you also mentioned author's emotions, author's mode of expression, author's feelings towards the central idea. Shivangi, you have a question for me? So let's look at very quickly the difference between style and tone, because quite a few times it so happens that these two slightly become confusing. So style, we have already defined, is the way author presents the information to the reader, whereas tone is the author's attitude towards the central idea. Okay. So with this in mind, all right, let's look at very quickly understanding what largely are the types of tones. We are of course not going to get deeper into understanding what tones are, because in my understanding there is a handout that is done in class that is on tones, an entire handout on it. So that gives a good hang of or even knack of identifying tones. And there are a lot of words that are described in that, a lot of questions which help us understand the tones better. So, what we generally mean by tones is positive, negative, neutral. These are the three large, broad categories, and under which tones could be divided. Neutral is where the tone would be more objective, like news pieces, where it is very objective, very unbiased, very very ambivalent, indifferent, where the author is not taking sides or speaking from any sides or not mentioning their opinions. It's strictly about from the third party perspective, where the author essentially is mentioning what has been heard or heard of or read. Okay. When we say positive and negative, there are different categories of it. In fact, even humor as a tone could be positive and negative. There are certain parts of speech, I'm so sorry, figures of speech, indicating opposites that could be used for tones, like paradox, irony, oxymoron. Or there could be other parts of speech, like somebody has here mentioned metaphorical. All right, so metaphor, simile, onomatopoeia, all of these, depending on imagery, depending on how the text has been written, or what do you think is the author's emotion while presenting that idea to the reader, right? So keeping these things in mind, now we will get at solving the handout. And I'll first share the link of that handout with you, and then probably we can just give me 1 minute, I'll share that link.
अरे वो ऑनलाइन है.
Guys, I have shared the link. Just open and see if you can access it. Recording of this session, I will have to see.
Ma'am, where have you shared the link?
Wait. Got it?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Can you open it?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, great. Right. So the question was, I don't know, guys. This recording, I think you should get. I think you need to write to the. I think you need to write to your center. Maybe they will help you with it. All right. So great. If you can open the link now, so let's get started. Any questions before we start? Anything you want to ask? because now it's going to be more of solving and discussion of the answers and whatever that you guys get stuck with. So anything before we begin.
Hello.
Hanji.
Good evening, ma'am. Ma'am, actually, I want to ask which topic is going on.
Reading
Actually,
comprehension.
I was late for the lecture, that's why.
That is okay, but the workshop name is RC workshop, no? Reading comprehension.
I want to ask which topic in reading comprehension.
This is a workshop, so we are not doing any topic specifically on RCs. We are just we have gone through the basics once of reading comprehension, and we have started. I mean, we are going to start with solving the handout.
Okay, ma'am, thank you.
Am I audible? Is my voice audible? Because Ketki says I'm not audible. Yeah, okay. So just in case, and this is for everyone, just in case you feel I am not audible, please, unless it is a problem for everyone, maybe it is some technical snag from your side, so please log out and log in. I don't know if Katie can hear this, but otherwise I'm just letting you know, log out and log in. Maybe that will help you in I mean, maybe that will just help get rid of the snag. Okay, if there are too many people saying that they're not able to hear, then probably I will also have to log out and log in. But since most of you say I can be heard, I think we are good, right? Okay, so okay, I guess we will begin. Well, see, please understand the passage had a lot of vocab questions also. Now, I'll tell you the reason behind giving so many questions wala passage. So, ek to this has been seen that whenever we talk about reading comprehension in CET, it's been very, it's been really varying in terms of the length of the passage and also the number of questions. Now I remember there was a year where you had 7 passages and all of them had just 2 to 3 questions each. And then there was one with wherein one passage had 7 questions. Then there was one passage with 2 or 3. Then there was another with again 4 or 5. Very random the distribution is. Okay, which is why the idea is to take you through different types and give you a flavor of all the types of length of the passage, number of questions. And look at this one. This had a few vocab questions also. I think 6 of them. So if I were the test taker, I would very quickly first jump to the vocab questions, try and solve those questions first, and then come back to doing these. Though that too, the direct ones first. Okay. So keeping that in mind, always try to pick the direct ones first, because especially the vocab ones, because you will either know them or not know them. So they are not very time consuming. Okay, those are more direct in nature, right? So while of course we will discuss all of them, I'm just telling you how could you go about it. So the first one says, which of the following proverbs is appropriate to convey the meaning contained in the sentence, why fish bodies out of the river when you can stop them jumping off the bridge? Okay, so in the whole passage, if we see, the author is basically talking about how it is better to prevent, the author says here, other imagine a world without waste, been routine recycled. So here the author says, why would you even try to look at taking care of something after it has caused the damage? So damage control se acha hai, let the damage not happen at all, which is why the answer will be 1, prevention is better than cure, right? Next one. The scar caused by the garbage barge in 1987 was on the account of what? Now, if we look at paragraph 2, we would realize that the author says that it was giving many Americans the false impression that their country's landfills had run out of space. The garbage barge, which was in 1987. All right. Which is why, in this case, the answer will be option 3. Right? Next, that may be understandable. Now, here, where is this that may be understandable phrase? It is here. That may be
I'm
understandable because,
sorry. Can I?
yes,
For the
Lucky.
second one, why cannot be 1?
For the
Second.
second one,
Yeah. I
But
thought it
it's
was.
not about the
I
ignorance
said
about,
ignorance has spawned something.
yeah, it's not about the ignorance. No, look at this. Garbage barge,
Ignorance
which in
spawned.
1987 sailed the Atlantic for 6 months in search of a place to dump its load, giving many Americans the false impression that their country's landfills had run out of space.
I mean, it's a false impression, right?
Yes,
Okay.
yes,
Yeah,
false
okay.
impression.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, that doesn't equal ignorance. False impression is where people are made to feel that way.
Oh,
Are
okay.
you with me? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Where were we? Yeah. So that may be understandable. By definition, waste is something its owner no longer wants or takes much interest in. So here, that is what it is talking about, the patchiest of records that are kept. It's very, I mean, they don't want to be associated with it basically. So what would the answer be? Option 2, patchiest of records. That explains why the records about waste are few and unreliable, because nobody wants to be dealing with it, right? Okay, next one. Which of the following has not? Please be ultra careful with these except clause questions. Ultra careful, I mean very, very extremely careful. We always end up most of the times finding the wrong answer. You've been asked to identify not a reason why visions of a wasteless society are disappearing. Okay, something that is not a reason. If we see, all of these reasons are mentioned except option 2. That is the only reason that is not mentioned. Fuel from recycled waste is not fetching adequate remuneration. That's the only reason that is not mentioned. Let's look at the paragraph, we will understand. See, sorry, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yahan pe you will get it. There is no mention of option 2. Are you with me? Which is why that is, see, reduced income from recycled, yes, mention. Why visions of wasteless society are disappearing? Because they don't find it remunerative. Absence of financial help, government playing only a supervisory role. The author says regulatory, that also should happen, which is why 5 will also be true. Regulatory and supervisory both are mentioned. So 2 acts as an exception, right? Next, according to the writer, what should the government do to keep waste levels low? Once again, same paragraph. What should they do? While they should be supervisory and regulatory, okay, that would help to signal which items are hardest to get rid of, giving consumers an incentive to buy goods that create less waste in the first place. So they should oblige people who create to clean up after themselves, and ideally ensure that the price of any product reflects the costs of disposing it safely. So, what does it help me understand? That add disposal cost to product prices. So then they will be more careful. Absolutely right. Absolutely right. Very good. Very good. Okay. Next one. In the passage, California is cited as an example. So if we look at the last few lines, what does that author is wants to recycle, and they find political incentive in doing so. Sounds politically attractive, right? So the answer would be 3. They're doing it for political gain. Right, right. I may not be able to see your answers in real time. I will have to switch screens. So that's how. According to the data provided by the French Research Institute, waste disposal can. Now, if we look at the idea here, Cyclope, it grows in tandem with the economies and especially the rate of urbanization. So, waste firms see a rich future in places such as China, India, and Brazil, which at present rate spend only $5 billion a year collecting and treating their municipal waste. So, what does it help me understand? That it is going to be a huge earning proposition. Okay, because they see profits there. You see the line that I showed you that talks about how it is very profitable. Look at this, rich future here, where the economy still happens to be growing, right? Waste firms see a rich future in countries such as India, Brazil, and China because Abhi we did na waste and economies grow hand in hand. Clearly, a database question should not have taken long to do the seventh and the eighth one. The most serious problem posed by rubbish is what? Now, if we look at the entire passage, we understand that author is talking predominantly about how it is creating problem that is, everywhere. Here, the author says there are some really nasty forms, and the author talks about how they are, polluting the environment. More seriously, it can release harmful chemicals into soil and water or into the air, which means one way or the other, they're polluting everything around. Right? So the answer will be 4. Water, land, and air are polluted. Any problems so far? Okay, great. 10th, contextual meaning. So if we look at it in the passage, it means to search through it. Right? So the answer would be 1. Rummage. Substitute, alternate. Potential, promising. Only on the basis of the context given in the passage you have to see, okay, not the general idea. Track, kiska answer is track. Track nahi, it is to search. Track would be to literally identify what all must have happened. Rishabh, are you with me? Here it means to roughly go through it. Okay. Universal, antonym. Here it would mean partial because not covering everything at all. Infamous would be noted because infamous would be uh, famous for wrong reasons. In the passage, it means, in that context, it means noted. Arbitrary, democratic. Arbitrary means autocratic, self imposed. Okay. So the democratic is opposite of it. Astute is very sharp. Astute means to be very, very sharp, you can say, very acute. Archaic means very old. Ambivalent is to have mixed feelings. Search through it. Abra, I hope I've answered your question there. Ramage is to search through something. Go through something very, in a very haphazard manner. फटाफट go through something in terms of कुछ फैला के यहाँ वहाँ गिरा दिया and we are searching for it. Make sense? Any question from this particular passage you want me to revisit?
Ma'am, for
Anji,
this
Ashmita.
scene, arbitrary means something random.
Just a minute. Tell me.
Ma'am, arbitrary refers to something random, right? And even in the passage, they've used it in the way of using it in the form of random. They are also prone to imposing arbitrary targets and taxes.
No, so when we say they are imposing, which means what?
Oh, acha. Oh, okay.
Imposing arbitrary taxes matlab come what may you have to abide by it and pay them.
Okay, got it. Thank you, ma'am.
No problem. Anything else?
Hello, ma'am. Please repeat 8th question.
Bhavika, I can't hear you, sweetheart. Can you please speak slightly more loudly?
Ma'am, please repeat 8th question.
Eighth one. Okay, all right. 8th one. Yes, tell me. So the question is, see, you see that line here. I have also, I think, underlined. Look at this. It produced that countries that produce tends to grow in tandem with their economies. Tandem meaning they go hand in hand, they go in sync. And especially with the rate of urbanization. So waste firms see a rich future in places such as China, India, and Brazil. That is why okay, Bhavika.
Thank you, ma'am.
No problem. Debolina, I shall do that. I shall do that, Debolina. You will have to take a screenshot of it, but it's in the Word document that I have, but I shall do that. Certainly. Okay. Any more questions on this? ठीक है. Now, what I want you all to solve is a relatable passage, because that will probably, or maybe that is easy. I'm just thinking we'll do slightly a challenging one, because yeah, we will do this. Okay, it has a lot of questions on styles of writing, and slightly the options are also slightly longer. They are just five in number. The questions are just five, but I want you to take this and get a hang of, in case they want to increase the complexity, what the paper would look like. Okay, do this. Same thing. Let me know. You know the drill. Let me know once you're finished solving, and we'll discuss the answers. Start.
Excuse me, ma'am. Are we supposed to read the whole passage or the keywords?
Shivangi,
Can you please explain?
if there are direct questions, keywords will do. But in the passage like this, you see the questions are, how would you connect the second para with the third, or what data would you fit in between two paragraphs? In that case, reading of the entire passage would do better.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, thank you, ma'am. Ma'am, I have a doubt.
Tell me.
Can you please say, ma'am, what is the meaning of this word ingrained?
It's instilled in you. It's institutionalized in you. It's now become a part of you. It's been You've been made to, believe it.
Okay, okay, fine. And also, I want to ask the meaning of bureaucratic.
Bureaucratic are these public servants like IAS, IPS. These are the bureaucrats. So bureaucracy is where these people take care of the administration.
Yeah, thank you so much, ma'am. Yeah, ma'am, got it. Thank you.
Shall we begin? Okay, right. How was it as compared to the first one? Okay, all right. So see, that's the point. Sometimes fewer questions can be more challenging than more number of questions, because I told you the complexity increases when they start testing you on inferential questions. Meaning now it's indirect. Instead of asking you the meanings of the words, they've asked you the organization of the paragraphs in the passage, or they have asked you the inference that could be drawn, inference that could not be drawn. So many different variations can exist. Okay. So on this note, let's look at identifying the answers to each of these. I believe the passage was not very difficult to be understood, but there were a lot of things that were making it challenging in terms of the options given. Okay, that must have been pretty. I think that was one thing that must have been a yes. Correct. It must be daunting. Okay. So let's look at it. The first one says, according to the first para, which of the following is untrue? Again, I've told you be very careful with these except clause questions. What is not true? So if you look at the first para itself, okay, the paragraph is telling you that the sense of belonging is deeply ingrained in people, okay, and it is beyond things like owning a passport or anything like that, or even if you are a taxpayer or not of the country. So if you look at the option, the third one is the exception because it calls it a shallow experience. I think just by this particular phrase, you should be able to identify this to be the exception, because to call it a shallow experience, author says you might or might not own some documents, but the feeling of belonging to that particular nation is beyond all of that things that one owns. Okay, which is why 3 is the exception. Everything else you will find in the passage to be true. Based on the second para, what was the basis for the Pakistanis gladly accepting the book on Indus Valley civilization? So here, when we look at the paragraph, the author says that they gladly embraced Mortimer Wheeler's book on the Indus Valley civilization. It gave their new country a sense of legitimacy through antiquity. Okay, which means it actually helped them believe that they have been in existence for so many years. Antiquity means belonging to very old times, right? And that is why the answer will be option 1, for many eons. Again, this phrase must be something that must have struck to your mind, should be ringing the bell. Good answer, Mithul, good answer. This was slightly longer, tedious, challenging, because it's a question on style. Which of the following sentences connects para 2 to para 3? Now, what are these two paragraphs saying? Good thing they're both on the same slide for me. So the second paragraph is talking about an elderly man who still happens to remember the feeling. The author talks about how could it be that the country is on both sides of where we stay, right? So that is a sense of bewilderment that the author mentions here. And the third paragraph talks about the 70th anniversary of India's independence, right? And here the author is talking about how it is a remarkable feat, how it is a very significant accomplishment. So, what is the sentence that will connect these two? That while there has been, one person who has been confused as to how one country can exist on both sides of where he stays. The second is talking about how it has, been in existence. This independence has been in existence for 70 years, almost 70 years, and still stands strong. So, what is the sentence that will connect the two? What do you think now? Which is the one that should connect the two?
Ma'am, answer 4.
4 nahi hoga, because you know what? A retained major part of a culture and tolerance. Culture and tolerance is not what we are talking about. The answer will be 2. While the
Ma'am,
Holocaust
what is the meaning of Holocaust?
of partition, here the author is talking about it in the sense of, now see, what is that the author talks about? How it has, just a second. I don't know if you've heard of this expression called Holocaust, which happened where a lot of, genocide happened of the Jews. Yes, absolutely right, Mitul. Nazi Germany mein, a lot of Jews were killed. So the same thing happened here. I mean, same thing as in when we talk about the number of lives that were lost. Okay, so it came with that consequence. That is why the author says, while the Holocaust of partition has left many indelible scars, as in a lot of bitter feelings that can't be erased from our memories, indelible. But India, with a pluralist approach, has moved on in the ensuing 7 decades to stand as a strong democracy. Pluralist approach, author says, because multilingual, multicultural. 3, because while many remember the pain of partition on either side, the pluralist democracy has been a soothing balm. Well, the author doesn't say see, it's not a soothing balm, na, Prachi, to call it a can I forget that the country was divided into 2? Is that any time forgettable? No, it's an unforgettable experience. That's why it's not, we have completed 70 years of independence will not something that will help me remember, forget that. That is why the indelible scar. This is unforgettable. However, while that is true, what is also true is that we have completed 70 years of independence, which is no smaller deal. Hmm? What do you think the author intends to convey in the fourth paragraph? So, what is that the fourth paragraph talks about? It's here the author is, that seems a very attainable milestone. Others are, and then if India manages to get to 2377 as a coherent country, it will have achieved the same period of continuity as the imperial Chola kings. If that means it's conditional, there is a big condition that author imposes here, if at all it happens. Okay, so the author is talking about different milestones, what in 2037, what in 2177, what in 2263, and then what if 2377. So the last one author seems to be slightly doubtful about, because otherwise author has not spoken of anything that is as doubtful as this one happens to be.
Ma'am, I have a doubt.
Hmm.
Can you please explain the term Chola and Suri's?
These were dynasties.
Sorry,
These were dynasties.
what
Dynasty.
does that mean?
Like Guptas, Mauryas, they ruled Chola dynasty. It was like Mughals. It was a
Mm-hmm.
dynasty
Yeah,
of
yeah, ma'am.
kings. Dynasty tha.
Yeah, thank you so much. I got it.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
So where was I? Yeah, okay. So here we understand that. So there's this V of doubt that the author comes up with, which is why now tell me what could the answer be? Yes, correct, Mitul. Correct. Uncertainty when he gets to the 24th century, but otherwise very optimistic in beginning about India staying intact for a long time to come. That's why that if in the end, na. I hope this is understood. uh it will not be Shivraj, it will not be 3, because it doesn't take care of the uncertainty towards the end of the paragraph, if that helps you answer the question. Does it make sense, Shivraj?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. And what is the strong message conveyed in paragraph 5? It's about celebrating 70 years of independence by simply recalling Tagore's words, who found the nation too dark, too confining a home, who believed that the most logical community to aspire to was also the widest possible, not the nation but the world. Patriotism cannot be our final spiritual shelter. My refuge is humanity. So, see beyond just your national feelings of nationality. Yes, that is very important, but there's something that is for the greater good and the broader vision that one needs to have. So, one is true, two is true, three is true, four is true too, because everything talks about how we should have a broader picture of things, look at the bigger picture, which is humanity, not just patriotism. He doesn't say patriotism is not the feeling one should carry in their hearts and minds, but there's also humanity above all. That's why the answer will be all of the above. Okay, Mitul, answer will be 5 bit. I hope this is understandable. Right, guys, any doubts, anything you want me to discuss here, any question you want me to take you back to, any question you think we should be revisiting? This
Ma'am, could you explain that patriotism part once again? I,
Which patriotism one?
the humanity is the ultimate, and patriotism can only
This
merge.
paragraph. This paragraph.
Yeah, could you
Patriotism
explain?
cannot be our final spiritual shelter. My refuge is humanity, which means you should not stop at being patriotic. You have to you have to work for serving the society, not just your nation. Anyone who is in trouble, you should try to be there for them, whether or not they belong to your nation. While, of course, your nation is very important, but for Tagore, humanity comes first. That's why this. Because Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam means whole world is my family. It's not just my nation that I am going to think about. Now you understand, Mitul, why 3 is also included. That is my humanity now, whatever is your nationality. That is why the author says, na, it's not my ultimate shelter. My refuge is humanity. Yeah? Okay. Right. So, are you in for one more passage? You think you can pull off one more? Because this was a heavier one. I totally get it. But I wanted you to solve this so that if you get something as difficult as this, you will not be caught unawares. And if you get something easier, then you obviously are going to do it like, it's going to be a cakewalk for you. So, you can tell me if you are game for one more. We'll try and do the easier one, easiest actually of all. Otherwise, we can
Yeah,
finish.
ma'am. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah is for what? Doing one more or finishing the class?
yeah, one more.
All right. Guys, no one is saying anything, so I should take it a yes as a yes. Everyone is like, "Arey." Okay, great, great, great. We'll do an easier one, a very easy one actually. Kyunki I think this is also very relatable, maybe. Okay, passage 5, short and sweet. I think I want you all to leave with a very good taste of RC with you. So let's do this.
Ma'am,
Please
I have a
begin.
question.
Tell me.
Ma'am, the lecture is till 9 or 9:30?
9 o'clock.
Oh,
Do you regret saying
okay.
yes now? Too late for that.
No, ma'am, actually, one of my friend told me it's till 9:30,
No, it
so I
started at
was,
7.
my mom is preparing dinner.
It started at 7. So yeah. Ones who
Yeah,
want to leave can leave, no problems. Ones who are staying back, solve this and it should not take long. Solve this, we'll discuss the answers and we will call it a night. Okay.
ma'am, can you please give the break of 10 minutes so that I can complete my code? Ma'am, are you there?
Shivangi, you can leave if you like because the class will only get over after this handout, this passage.
Okay, ma'am. Okay.
Ma'am,
Yes, Ashmita, tell me.
just to confirm, the 16th page does not have any writing, does it? Because it's
No,
just
no,
showing
no.
up.
Yeah. No, it's a blank page. It has only 5 questions.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Have you finished? Someone has also mentioned to discuss something about suggestions. So yes, we'll do that once we finish this. That is definitely the agenda. वो definitely करना है.
Ma'am, can you please explain the meaning of this word?
वही तो आंसर है शिवांगी. क्या रे.
Abysmally, that
हाँ
word.
तो वही तो क्वेश्चन है ना. दैट तो इज द क्वेश्चन बेटा. ठीक है चलो वी विल डिस्कस द आंसर्स फिर वो फटाफट फटाफट वी विल आल्सो नो क्या बोल रहा है पैसेज. ठीक है. So which aspect of management education does the passage focus on? The first para, if we see, starts talking about the quality of management education, across the country, and how the declining intake of students has been there, right? So what is the answer? It'll be both 1 and 2. Option 4. Donations, nothing has been talked about it, so we can do away with it. According to passage 2, why have employment prospects for Indian business students dropped? So here the author talks about how there is a disparity between educational and employer requirements. Anna, that is why the answer will be 5. I hope we've got this. 4 for what? That's because there is this disparity in the requirement. That is why 5 will be the answer. Anna? Okay. Which of the following statements cannot be inferred? Once again, exceptional clause. I think 4 very clearly. One from Mumbai and other institutes. There is nothing mentioned like this. Everything else is mentioned. Okay? I think this was very straightforward one. Yeah. Abysmally, Shivangi was asking what is the meaning. It means abysmally low, meaning to a very large extent. Okay, so immeasurably. Most synonymous. And mundane is something that is very routine like, nothing new about it. So antonym would be extraordinary. Shivangi, I hope I've answered your question, beta.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Can you also explain the meaning of pensively and sensibly?
Sensibly is to be very sensible, having be in your right senses.
Yeah.
Yeah. And which one?
And the first one?
Which is the first one? Which is the first one? Pensive. Pensive is to be involved in, to ponder over something, to think about something very thoughtfully, very carefully, deliberately. That is pensive.
Okay,
ठीक है?
I got it.
And that's why I was not
Thank you.
giving you the
Yeah.
answer, because that is only the answer. ना तो मैं ही बता दूंगी तो आप क्या find करेंगे? Okay. All right. Now coming to how
Yeah,
do you go
thank
about,
you.
no problem. How do we go about discussing RCs? Very important one thing that somebody told me कि कैसे करना है RCs को. So if I were you, see, there are different approaches if we are looking at different kinds of exams. Lekin one thing is for sure that if I'm looking at reading comprehension, like I told you, if I get questions that are direct, I will try and do them first. If I look at the questions, let's say a passage comes in front of me, I know we are falling short of time in exam. So if I see questions that were there like the second passage, I would avoid them, because I don't have so much time, and the chances of getting those questions right may not be very high. So I would avoid them, in the sense that if the paper seems to be slightly easier on direct question sides, I would try to do them first, and then I would come to this. If it is taking too much
Ma'am,
time,
what is the meaning of insipid?
insipid is bland. ठीक है? Bland as in something that has not got very great taste to it, very bland, फीका. All right. So yeah, coming back to it, so you will have to choose your questions. ठीक है? When you see an RC
Thank
passage,
you, ma'am.
no problem.
Also, I want to ask prosaic meaning. Prosaic.
Prosaic, insipid, bland all mean the same, Shivangi. Right? So try to do those questions first. Try to look at except clause questions first if they are data based. Inference questions also, like the second passage we saw, you can try and solve them, provided you have that kind of time. If you don't have, then see what best sense you can make from whatever is given and try and solve them. But otherwise, I would say the approach to RC will largely remain this only: vocab questions first, direct questions first, and then go to do the inference ones. And especially direct questions which you think you can get answers to very quickly, because time is of essence. While there is no negative marking, there are too many questions to do. So do not leave anything unsolved, meaning unmarked, but see how much time you want to invest at these questions. Okay, depending on what the fabric of the question is, and what content are you getting tested on. A style, if it is a suitable title kind of a question, reading the first and the last lines of every paragraph and the first and the last para should largely help you with understanding what the title could be. Right. So these are some ways of doing it, but otherwise it is a time consuming thing. So and do not feel that if the passage is longer it will be more difficult. Okay, that's not always true. So I think you can also go by the questions more than the length of the passage. That's the last thing you should consider, I think. Okay, so this is one thought that I would like to leave you with, because in exams like CAT and all, we have time to actually go through the paper once, in terms of every section, plus it comes section wise. So every section I can give 1.5 minute or two and see what the questions are going to be like and solve. But maybe I don't have that kind of liberty when I'm doing a CET paper, which is why keep taking a lot of mocks, keep taking a lot of sectional tests on RCs, because RCs are going to come, that's a given. Okay, they're going to be there. So like you saw, this one did not take very long, but the previous one did take quite some time. Okay, so do sectionals, increase your speed, you still have time, you can do that, you have almost a month left. Keep doing that. Vocab based questions, grammar based questions, try and solve them first. So I think this is what I would like to leave you with. Is there anything I can help you with before we end the session?
Ma'am, could you please tell me what are the important topics for RC?
There are no important topics for RC per se. RC mein there are no topics as such. Okay, so somebody is asking me to share the uh, PD. Okay, I'll do that. Just give me 1 minute, huh? Sharing the keys. Visible? Okay, so total of I told you now, Mithul, it could be anywhere from 15 to 20. So this is till 25. The remaining are here. Take a screenshot till 35.
Ma'am, could you please scroll up again?
Yeah, I'll do that.
Okay, thank you.
What about CAT? How many questions are there based on RC? 16. Ajay, 16 questions on RC. 1-6. CAT is more organized as compared to CET in terms of the VRC section. CET, you can't say, what weightage will what carry sometimes, because it keeps varying slot to slot also. All right. So if you have no questions, then shall we end the session? Anything anyone wants to ask? All right. Okay. Okay, then. Good luck, everyone. All right. Do keep practicing and have a good night.
Thank you, ma'am. Good night.
Thank you. Just keep taking, Shikha, just keep taking tests. Okay. Keep taking tests, keep taking full length.
अरे 2 मिनट शांति रखो ना, इधर
Analyze
चालू
that
है.
paper. Keep analyzing that paper. That's how you do it. Okay. Right
हाँ,
now,
बस
what
गेट
you
बंद
have
कर
to
दो.
do is take test and analyze yourself. And yeah, I think largely that. Keep
Ma'am,
practicing.
I have a question.
Tell me.
What is the meaning of People's Liberation Army?
It was an organized. Where did you read this?
Ma'am, in the RC book.
No, I'll have to know the context that you're referring to.
It's the name of Chinese army.
Passage 6.
It's the
Page
it's
26.
the Chinese military.
Ma'am, I have a question.
And literal mean also the meaning of literal.
Also the meaning of. Okay, wait. I
That
think we will take Pulkit's question first, then come back to you. Yes, Pulkit, tell me.
Ma'am, I will be appearing for CAT in the coming in November.
Uh-huh.
So I have started with the VRC, but I am a bit weak in vocabulary.
Uh-huh.
So any tips to improve that?
I think for an exam like CAT, your vocab will get developed by reading, and not just for CAT. It's for any exam. Your vocab gets developed by reading. Okay, so and of course that will help a lot when you are doing क्या बोलते हैं इसको passages also across subject areas. So keep reading every day for at least half hour. Yeah, half hour to 40 minutes, very important. Keep reading every day, and keep reading across subject areas. Start with what you're comfortable first maybe, and then venture into things that are out of your comfort zone, but I think that's very important to do.
So as everyone suggests with A1 should I start with that?
Are you a reader already? Do you read on a
No,
daily
ma'am.
basis?
I read sometimes. I read the newspapers.
Yeah, so A1 essays are important, especially if we talk about passages that could be abstract in nature. But I think if you are a non-reader, you might want to start with something that will build your interest in reading, and then probably you can take on doing something that is slightly more challenging and slightly out of your comfort zone. So start with
I
something
started
that
with newspapers daily at least half an hour.
Which ones are you reading?
The Hindu and Indian Express.
Good enough. Start with that. There are editorials in both of them. Read upon those editorials also. Read both of them. And I think that should be good enough for starters. You also have. Are you a student enrolled with Time for CAT 25?
Yes, ma'am.
So then you have RC passages, RC links on your student homepage. Okay, so you could read upon those RC links also, depending on what subject area you think you're comfortable with, not comfortable with. And yeah, I think that's how.
Ma'am, I have one last question.
Tell me.
Ma'am, I have applied for CET only. So which college should I apply for in Mumbai? I'm planning to go in Mumbai only. Mumbai colleges.
I think let your
Or
results be out
Maharashtra,
first. Let your
maybe.
results be out first, Shivangi. Then you can take this call. For cap rounds, you don't really have to apply for anything. Your scores will be fetched by these colleges. You have to just apply for the cap process. But otherwise, I think you need to wait for your CET results to be out, and then depending on your scores, you can take a call as to which college you want to apply to.
Could you suggest some names of the college, particularly if I want to apply?
Well, there are so many. There is Wellinger, there is SIS, there is Dalmia, there is Chetna, there is MET, IES. There are so many of them. Pumba in Pune.
Ma'am, how about the Saraf College, which is in Malad?
Not a great. I mean, I would
Is
not recommend that. But
because some of my seniors have done
there was a
MBA
session
from
on
that
there was a
college.
session on this. There was a session on this, Shivangi. I don't know if you've attended that, but these queries were taken up in that session already. You yes, of course, you I'm sure have seniors there, but if you ask me, I don't know. I mean, I think you can aspire for better colleges with better scores.
And how is this college, ma'am? Atlas.
Uh, I'm not too sure about that, Shivangi. I think, uh, it's better once your scores are out. Then you can actually ask how is which college, because right now everything is like shooting arrows in the dark. Okay, so once if you
Yeah,
have
ma'am,
it,
because I have two of my friends from my building only in my society. They have gone to that, taken admission in that college. So they are telling good feedbacks about Atlas. So is it possible to get into that college?
I don't think it
I
should be
just want to ask.
difficult to get into those colleges. But what you should be aspiring for is colleges in the likes of JB and Sydenham and these ones?
Ma'am, I am from Sydenham College only.
Yeah, so for MBA also you should aspire for these colleges.
Undergrad.
Understood. Understood.
I have completed my undergrad
Understood.
from that college.
Got it.
Yeah, BCom.
ठीक है.
Yeah.
All right. So yeah, I guess then we will end the session. Any more doubts? Okay. All right. Great. Thank you so much, everyone. Bye-bye. I'm ending the session. So anyone and everyone who's logged in will get logged out. Okay. Bye.